negotiating, and the essential elements of good contracts. In video 14, Event Planning Contracts, we discussed the critical elements of good contracts and the purposes they serve. In this video, we'll take a look at the do's and don'ts of effective contract negotiation. The Marriott Corporation provides a number of services to event planners, as do most hospitality businesses, and their list of contracting do's and don'ts is one of our favorites. We've taken their list and expanded upon it to give you a comprehensive review of the qualities and actions of a good, fair, and ethical contract negotiator. First, we'll review the do's of contract negotiation. Do present and maintain a professional attitude. Nothing about event planning is personal, including contract negotiation. Your industry point people are your equals and your peers. They know what they are doing as well as you do. Always treat them and the negotiations at hand with respect and professionalism. Do control stress and tension. There is no hill in the contract negotiations battlefield worth dying on. It is simply pointless to let negotiations stress you out and make the process unpleasant. The worst case scenario in contract negotiation is that you and your point person cannot come to an equitable agreement. So be it. Find a supplier you can reach common ground with. This is why we negotiate contracts early in the process, so we can just cut our losses and work with another supplier if we need to. Do avoid politics and egos. In the big scheme of things, you are just an event planner and your point person is just a goods and services provider. You aren't powerful or a political power, so keep this in perspective and go about your business as equals and the intelligent, capable worker bees you are. Do take time to gather all facts and requirements beforehand. In video 3, Strategic Event Planning Before Anything Else, we talked about the critical importance of identifying your venue and suppliers very early on in the planning stage and obtaining every bit of information you need to begin evaluating elements for the contract. Remember, obtain preliminary written commitments, references, and recommendations from the DMCs and CVBs. By the time you sit down to negotiate a final contract, you should know everything there is to know about the supplier and be 100% comfortable with your choice and the ability to finalize any mutually viable contract. Do meet with the proper hotel, site, and service people who have the authority to make decisions. This is one of the keys to successful contracts. If the signers don't have the authority to enter into contracts, the contract is easily voided. Make sure your point person has full authority to negotiate, sign, and amend contracts. Do define the purpose and objectives of the meeting. When you sit down with your point person, you should have a draft of the contract close to complete in one hand. In the other, you should have a concise list of what final elements you need to be negotiated before the contract can be finalized. Don't waste each other's time and energy by reviewing old, resolved issues. Just get right down to the business of wrapping up your contract in an airtight, watertight, ironclad package. Do know the event. By the time you finalize a contract, you should be eating, breathing, and living the event in question. If you aren't 100% clear on the vision, goals, and budgets, you aren't ready to negotiate a contract. Do have printed copies of event plans available. As you negotiate, questions will arise. That is a healthy and positive thing. Have all your planning materials with you so you can review any planning essentials that may come into question. Your point person may very well find ways to help you get better results or spend less money if they can work through plan elements with you during the negotiations. Do make key contacts in all services and sites. If you don't already know all of your key players at the venue or with the vendor or supplier, have them come into the negotiation meeting so you can meet them and find out if they have any questions or considerations you've not yet incorporated in the contract that do need to be part of it. Do follow up frequently. If you are unable to finalize a contract during a final negotiation or preliminary negotiations, keep the incomplete elements on the front burner by talking regularly with your point person about them. Don't let them slip away and perhaps be left out of the contract by omission. Do obtain peer referrals and advice. If you can, find planning peers who have negotiated with your point person previously and ask them if there are any issues you need to be aware of, lessons learned, etc. You'll be better equipped to sit down and negotiate if you know a lot about the person on the other side of the table. Do contact union stewards before an event at a union avenue. Your point person may not be in the position to negotiate on behalf of the union or unions providing service to the venue, Make sure you get it in writing that the point person does have that authority, or negotiate a separate contract with the union. Do communicate with clarity and outline everything in writing. Nothing should be assumed or undocumented when negotiating contracts. A contract is only as good as what's written into it, so put it in easily understandable writing. Do make all agreements part of the written contract. Put it in writing every time. Do be ethical. It is possible to trick or dupe your point person by hiding items that benefit you in legalese or making them so confusing that your counterpoint just gives up. This is highly unethical. Don't do it. Your contract should benefit and protect both parties. Do ask questions. Never make assumptions when negotiating contracts. If you are unsure about anything, ask questions until you achieve clarity. Encourage your point person to do the same. Do listen and pay attention. If you mentally check out or just don't care enough to pay attention during negotiations, it's highly likely the contract will be detrimental to you and your event in some way. Pay attention and control your event's destiny during the contracting phase. Do minimize all distractions. Don't take phone calls, send texts, allow people to enter and exit your negotiations unless the interruptions are pertinent to the matters at hand. It's very easy to lose your place when interrupted, and that could result in key elements getting left out or going uncorrected during the process. Do verify all legal clauses of the contract with an attorney. If possible, have this done before you go into final negotiations. If you make any additions, deletions, or changes to the legal clauses or wording, have your attorney approve them before you sign the final contract. Do know the budget. Perhaps the two most important rules of contract negotiation are put it in writing and know exactly how much you can spend. Your contract will reflect that you and your point person had a meeting of the minds, and they will provide exactly what you agree upon for the price you contracted to. Perhaps more important than the do's, let's review the don'ts. Don't sacrifice quality for cost. By the time you sit down to negotiate a contract, you should know that the provider has the quality you need and it comes within your budget. If that situation changes during negotiations, don't allow your point person to degrade the quality of your event by strong-arming you into cheaping out. It is highly unethical for a supplier to use this tactic of waiting until you're on deadline and changing the rules. If you have to, go to your Plan B supplier, who should be all too happy to get your business. Don't make unreasonable demands. Your point person should be very frank with you about the company's capabilities. At the point you sit down with them, you should be quite confident they have what you need. Don't try to get them to reduce the cost below what's fair and equitable or throw in perks that aren't warranted. Don't insist on being the final authority. Your point person is your teammate on the event. Don't be heavy-handed in your negotiations with him or her or push them around. That sets a bad precedent for your working arrangement, and they have the ability to make your life miserable without breaching the contract if you give them reason to. Don't be inconsiderate of a supplier's profit margin and business needs. You are both in the business of being successful in business. If you choose a supplier you can't afford, find one you cannot afford, find one you can. It is unfair and unproductive to force your supplier to take a loss because of your bad planning. Don't escalate and overestimate needs. Don't give your supplier false hopes. Your point person should be absolutely clear on your very best estimate of what you need before you begin negotiations. They will have pre-planned allocation of resources to you, and if you cut your unrealistically communicated needs in half, you can cause them financial hardship. Don't hesitate to ask questions. See the do's. If you don't ask, you won't know, and you'll probably regret it. Don't be apprehensive about negotiating for everything required. You know what you need. Don't be afraid to ask for it, and be prepared to pay for it. That is the essence of negotiation. Don't compromise the quality and success of your event by being an ineffectual negotiator. Don't promise what cannot be delivered. You don't want your supplier to make false assurances. Don't give them any. If you won't have the staff to help them set up, don't say you do, for example. Remember that the contract spells out the terms of your working relationship and protects you both, so don't put anything in it that can't be fulfilled. Don't lie or misrepresent. This is a basic rule for event planning in life. Falsehood almost always does damage to someone, and in event planning, it inevitably comes back to bite you. If you establish a business climate of honesty, you will reap what you sow. Don't jump at the first offer. When you go into negotiations, you're there to negotiate. When your point person hands you an offer, talk about it. Find out if there are other options, maybe better than the first. Your contact is trying to anticipate your needs and their profit, but they may be making an offer based on bad or uncommunicated information. Negotiate. Don't pass up a good deal based on personality conflict. It's not about you as a person. It's not about the point person. Just do the work at hand in the interest of your client's budget and the quality and success of your event. Don't be intimidated. You're the one with the checkbook. You get to decide what to write checks for and how much they will be. Both negotiators are on equal and common ground, so speak up and ask them to do so as well. Don't hesitate to advise the facility of changes. Contracts can be amended. If situations change that may affect your contract, advise your point person immediately and negotiate an amendment if necessary. Remember to have your attorney approve amendments before signing. Follow these rules for negotiating all your event-related contracts. If you do, and you incorporate all the elements critical to effective contracts we discussed in video 14, your contract will work for you, protect you and your supplier, and ultimately help make your event a pleasurable management experience.